Hello and welcome to Tales by Rabbit, where every story brings inspiration and magic. Once upon a time, in a kingdom wrapped in misty hills and sparkling rivers, there lived a king and a queen loved by all their people. They had ruled with wisdom and kindness for many years, and their subjects cherished them dearly. Yet, despite their many blessings, there was one wish that had not been fulfilled. The king and queen had no child. Every night, the queen would gaze at the stars and whisper, "Oh, how I wish for a child to share our love and joy." The king would hold her close, hoping that one day their wish would come true. And indeed, one magical night, under a skylight with shooting stars, the queen gave birth to a beautiful baby girl named Aurora. To celebrate her birth, the king invited all the wise and magical beings from far and wide to a grand feast. Among them were three kind fairies, known for their gentle hearts and powerful magic. The first fairy, with eyes like emeralds, said, "May Aurora always have a heart filled with kindness and love." The second fairy, with hair like silver moonlight, blessed her with the gift of wisdom, so she may see truth where others see only shadows. The third fairy, radiant and warm, proclaimed, "May Aurora find joy and courage in even the darkest of times." The celebration was merry, with music and laughter filling the castle halls. However, as the fairies left, a shadow fell across the room. From the darkest corner of the hall emerged a figure the kingdom had not seen before, a sorceress who had been overlooked, forgotten by the king in his invitation. Her robes were deep as midnight, and her eyes glimmered with a cold light. "I see a child has been born," she said, her voice smooth yet sharp. "The kingdom has forgotten me. How thoughtless of you." The room grew tense, the candles flickering in unease. "Since I was forgotten, I shall give a gift of my own." The king stepped forward, trembling. "Please, do not bring harm to our daughter." But the sorceress smiled cruelly. "It is not harm, yet it is fate. On the day she turns 16, the princess shall prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a slumber from which she shall never wake." Gasps echoed through the hall. The fairies whispered amongst themselves, their faces grave. The king and queen felt a cold shiver run down their spines, for no one could undo a curse of such magnitude. Yet, the third fairy, the one who had granted joy and courage, stepped forward. "Though the curse is strong, it shall not be the end," she said. "Aurora shall not perish. Instead, she will sleep until the power of true love awakens her. And in that love, she will find not only life but strength and wisdom beyond her years." The king, determined to protect his daughter, ordered that every spinning wheel in the kingdom be destroyed. Aurora grew up in a castle filled with love and magic. Unaware of the fate that awaited her, she learned to read, to paint, to dance under the sunlight in the castle gardens, and her laughter became the music of the kingdom. Time passed swiftly, and Aurora's 16th birthday drew near. Despite the precautions, fate has a way of finding its path. In a quiet, forgotten tower of the castle, hidden behind dust and shadows, a lone spinning wheel remained. Drawn by curiosity, Aurora discovered it. She had never seen such a device, and her fascination with its whirring wheel was innocent. As her fingers brushed the spindle, a sharp prick made her gasp. Her eyes grew heavy, and she fell backward onto a bed of silken sheets, deep into a magical sleep. The castle plunged into silence, sorrow, and stillness. The king and queen wept for their daughter, though the fairies reminded them to hold hope, for true love would come. The news of the sleeping princess spread across the lands. Brave knights, clever scholars, and hopeful suitors tried to awaken her, yet none succeeded. Years passed, and the tale of Aurora became legend, a story whispered by the wind and sung by wandering minstrels. In a distant kingdom, there lived a prince named Leo. Unlike other princes, he was known not for his sword, but for his heart. He traveled not to conquer, the two understand the world and help those in need. One day, while visiting a village, he heard an old woman tell the story of the sleeping princess, Aurora. The tale struck a chord deep within him. He felt a pull, as though destiny was calling. Guided by his heart and the stories he had heard, Leo journeyed to Aurora's castle. The path was long and treacherous, winding through dense forests and across misty valleys. Yet he pressed on, determined to fulfill what he felt was his destiny. Along the way, he encountered challenges that tested his courage, kindness, and wisdom. He helped a lost traveler find her way home and shared food with hungry children. Each act of selflessness strengthened his heart and spirit. Finally, he reached the castle, its towers shrouded in ivy and mystery. Within, he found the sleeping princess, serene and radiant even in slumber. Kneeling beside her, he took her hand gently. "Aurora," he whispered, "you are loved, and you are meant to awaken. The power of true love is not only in a kiss, but in courage, compassion, and hope." A gentle warmth spread through the room, soft as dawn's first light. Aurora's eyes fluttered open, and she gazed upon Leo, a smile breaking across her face. The curse had been broken, not by force, but by the pure bond of love and understanding. Aurora rose from her slumber, wiser and stronger, her heart brimming with compassion. She embraced her parents, who wept tears of joy, and the kingdom rejoiced at her awakening. Aurora and Leo spent time learning about each other and the world beyond the castle walls. They discovered that true love was not a sudden feeling, but a journey of respect, kindness, and shared dreams. Together, they worked to heal old wounds in the kingdom and care for those in need. They fostered a world where magic and goodness thrive side by side. Aurora learned that destiny is not simply given, but shaped by the choices we make and the love we share. The kingdom flourished, not merely because a princess awakened from her sleep, but because courage, wisdom, and kindness had become the true magic of their lives. The tale of Aurora, the sleeping princess, was told for generations, not as a story of fear, but as a story of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of love. Whenever the wind whispered through the castle towers, it carried a message to all who listened. Even in the darkest slumber, light and love can awaken the heart. Aurora and Leo continued to live with kindness in their hearts, ruling the kingdom with fairness and wisdom. They visited villages, helped the poor, and encouraged learning and creativity among their people. The castle gardens bloomed with every color imaginable, reflecting the joy and hope in the kingdom. Aurora took lessons from the fairies, learning magic that healed and nurtured. Leo studied the art of diplomacy and compassion, ensuring that no one felt forgotten. Together, they built a realm where stories of courage, love, and wisdom were celebrated. Children would gather in the castle halls to hear Aurora tell tales of hope and adventure. She reminded them that even ordinary actions, like helping a neighbor or speaking kindly, were forms of magic. Leo would accompany her, teaching that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the courage to act despite it. The kingdom became a place where dreams were nurtured and every citizen felt valued. As the years passed, Aurora and Leo's love deepened, not through grand gestures, but through trust, respect, and shared experiences. They faced challenges together, whether disputes among neighboring kingdoms or storms that threatened their lands. Yet they met every difficulty with patience, compassion, and thoughtful solutions. The kingdom prospered, and stories of their deeds traveled far and wide. Scholars wrote of Aurora's wisdom, poets sang of Leo's courage, and bards told tales of their joint kindness. Visitors from distant lands came to see a kingdom where magic and goodness were one. Even those who had doubted the power of love found inspiration in their story. The fairies watched from afar, pleased that their gifts had blossomed in such extraordinary ways. And though the sorceress who had cursed Aurora had vanished, her spell had transformed into a lesson. It reminded all that challenges and hardships could be overcome with love, courage, and wisdom. Aurora often walked through the castle gardens at dusk, reflecting on the journey of her life. She thought of the fairies' blessings, the curse, and the journey that had led her to true love. And she smiled, knowing that every twist of fate, every choice, and every act of kindness had shaped her story. Leo joined her, taking her hand as they watched the sunset behind the mountains. They understood that happiness is found not in perfection, but in the journey and the love shared along the way. And so, the kingdom thrived, full of life, laughter, and hope. The tale of Aurora, the sleeping princess, and Leo, the kind-hearted prince, was told for generations. It became a story not only of magic and royalty, but of the power of courage, kindness, and love. And every time someone heard the story, they were reminded that even in the darkest moments, light can prevail. Moral of the story: true magic lies not in spells or curses, but in courage, kindness, and the love we give and receive. And with that, thank you for listening to Tales by Rabbit. We hope you enjoyed the story and found inspiration to fill your own life with magic and love. See you in the next story.